This is the State of Mind podcast presented by Strange Brew Coffeehouse, your alumni-owned local coffee house with unique drinks and Mississippi roasted specialty coffee.
You know, he calls me, he's like, hey, it's Jeff Agus with the New York Red Bulls. You know, I just want to congratulate you. And it kind of took me, I'm like, yeah, thanks, for sure. And 4? He's like, we just drafted you. And I was like, well, let's go.
You said 4?
Yeah,
like, why are you calling?
so.
Here with Nick Zimmerman, everybody, the head soccer coach of the soccer team here at Mississippi State. Man, you're coming off a big year. I saw Nick the day after he became the head coach. It was the basketball game that a lot of people went to, the Pitt game. We beat the crap out of them, man.
Yes,
that was an awesome night. A lot of people that know Nick know he's full of energy. He is absolutely electric. And when he came out on the court as introduced as the new head coach, it was a perfect example of what Nick brings to our program here. He came out fist pumping, letting everybody know, like, hey, let's get this place rocking. It fires me up to see the personality that you bring in, day out, man. Just tell us, man, like, what do you got? You're the head coach.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. You know, it's been a crazy probably 12 to 14 days, but it's been awesome. It's been grateful. I'm super grateful. You know, I always joke, like, you know, the passion side of me is something that just is real. It's who I am. You know, and my parents taught me at an early age, do what you love, you know, and I love the game of soccer. You know, I was fortunate enough to play it, and now I have the opportunity to be a coach where we can help impact and transform these young student athletes. And so it's been awesome. I've had incredible support from the community, from the administration, from the staff, most importantly from the players. You know, it's been a whirlwind, but one that I'm very, very excited for and grateful.
Yeah, before we get into the plans you have, the vision, what y'all have been building, and now you get to stay and continue to build it. Talk us about your playing career, man. You're a professional soccer player like James Madison.
Yep.
So walk us through your story.
Yeah, so I got into soccer at an early age, and I was awful. I mean, I was terrible. I mean, I just ran around.
Love that.
It wasn't great. You know, my mom, I'll never forget, my dad had a camcorder and would watch the games, and I was up north, so it was indoor. Played indoor, where you have boards. And long story short, she showed me a video after one of my games, and it was tough to see. And so I was like, if I'm gonna actually do this, I'd like to be somewhat decent at it. And I just kind of really immersed myself in it, wanted to get better. Every waking minute, you know, there was a ball at my feet, you know, or my foot, and it was something that you know, I love to do. Friends did it. You know, then I moved to Florida, where soccer was a lot bigger scale. You know, I was in Rhode Island, you know, that's where I was born, so it was obviously smaller. But then moving to Florida, you had a huge population, a huge environment of players to grow. And it was a lot different, but it was one that it helped me grow. I played up, you know, which was rare at the time because I always wanted to play against bigger, stronger, faster players. And you know, fortunate to get an opportunity to go to school at James Madison, which, you know, was one of the greatest, you know, of sequences or 4 years of my life. Met so many great people, incredible memories, you know, a really good relationship with the coaching staff, and now that's kind of what I use, you know, when I recruit these players is more of like, you know, you're a player, like the staff matters, you know, that relationship, that dynamic matters. And then got drafted, played pro. You know, I always joke, if you know the right people and you pay them enough money, they'll take care of you, you know? So, but no, it was an awesome experience. You know, played for multiple teams. Unfortunately suffered a career-ending injury, and, you know, I always knew I wanted to stay in the game. I did some coaching on the side, to continue to grow, you know, my craft and learn and teach kids of different ages and skill sets. And I think that's what's allowed me now the ability to really resonate with players that are highly competitive, that have the mindset, but also understand how to communicate effectively to help them achieve what their goals are, what their expectations, and kind of be there for them.
Yeah, you were drafted, you were telling me, in the third round,
Yep.
32nd pick, man. Like, I know what it was like getting drafted for baseball, but in the soccer world, like when you got your name called on the draft day, man, what was that feeling like?
Funny story. I didn't even know the draft was going on because wasn't sure if I was going to get drafted. I had an agent who was like, yeah, these are the teams that are interested. This is what it was. I didn't fly to the draft like a lot of people did that knew they would be in the first or second round. I had a combine, probably similar to what, you have in baseball. And I just did okay. I mean, I didn't do great, but I didn't do terrible. And so it was just kind of like, all right. And then I get a call on my phone, number I don't recognize, and it was happened to be Jeff Agus, Jeff Agus, for those of you that know soccer, played for our men's national team, was a left back, storied career, had the long hair, that great flow. And
he's got real short hair now.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the one that does all like anytime the men's national team plays on a big scale tournament, he's talking about it.
He's been involved as well. And so it was, he calls me, he's like, hey, it's Jeff Agus with the New York Red Bulls. I just want to congratulate you. And it kind of took me, I'm like, yeah, thanks, for sure. And 4? And he's like, we just drafted you. And I was like, well, let's go.
You said 4?
Yeah,
like, why are you calling?
So what, like, awesome, let's, and he was like, yeah, we just drafted. And I was like, no, I'm sorry, I thought it was something else. I had to kind of play it off. And next thing you know, it was a Friday. And I was in New York on Sunday. They had called, someone had followed up, travel reservations and plans. And next thing you know, 48 hours later, I was in New York, training.
All right, so you got the New York Red Bulls. What is in baseball terms, minor leagues? What is the stepping stone?
Yeah,
for
like
MLS?
that at the time it was one that you just went straight in. So they had
Really?
the MLS. Yeah, so you had the MLS. Now they would if you made the roster, a lot of times they'd loan you out to different clubs, that maybe they had affiliates with, or different clubs that they had relationships with to get you a couple games if you were coming back from injury, if you were quite good enough at the time. But when I got drafted, it was with the pro team, with the first team. And I say this a lot to recruits and our players is, when I got there, I got drafted 32nd, third round. And when I got there, the first week, I didn't even see the first team. It was all kids and players from all over. So it was like 60 or 70 trialists. Kids that, players that didn't get drafted, college players, local players, people sent in, and you had to kind of essentially make that cut. I mean, it wasn't like I signed, a contract when I got there. It was, you got drafted, you're here, but that doesn't mean anything.
So
and
it's cutthroat.
It was cutthroat. And so like you deal with that first week and you're like, all right, I made that. And you're like, all right, I did it. We went to Bradenton to play. A lot of MLS clubs went to Bradenton where you play against different teams and it's preseason. It's a really cool environment. We get to the airport and we get the baggage claim and there's four new players. And these were from overseas. And you're like, who are these people? And so it was, and I'm sure I mean, it's obviously they're constantly funneling players in. I mean, they're trying to get better and I understand it, but it's not like, all right, I showed up today, I'm good. It's every single day you got to be consistent and you got to bring it.
Baseball, same way, every single day, and it's worldwide too, man. It's different countries.
I can imagine.
The best players from where they came from. That's the crazy thing about, I'm sure pro soccer's the same thing. Everyone there was the best
for sure
player where they came from. Mm-hmm. So it's just the talent you see is insane. And I've said this for a long time. What soccer has that is better than any other sport is relegation. Mm-hmm. What relegation does is it forces teams to win. Yeah. It forces teams to compete. Because in baseball, you have this big thing of like, it's a rebuild year. Yeah. We're going to rebuild this year. You don't have that in soccer.
You can rebuild, you just won't be in the league.
You just won't be in the league next year. Yeah. And I think relegation is like, it's genius, man. Yeah. It forces teams to like there's no time to rebuild because you're out of the league. Yeah. And it's the coolest format, man. And it's cutthroat, but I think it forces like just so much.
Oh yeah. They have the to get promoted when they have that championship game from the division to get into the EPL. It is the most expensive game in the history of any sport. It is a $250 to $300 million game because the winner of that game goes to the EPL with all the TV rights and endorsements and deals and stadium. I mean, you imagine that. You're a coach now and you're coaching potentially for $300 million, $250 million.
Because if you lose, you don't get any of that.
Because if you win, it's First and second go, and then that third team goes, and it's third and fourth at play, and it's that.
So the semifinal game of the lower tier league.
Well, it's to get to that, yeah. So like the first two teams, they get promoted because it's 3 and 3 down. So whatever that next game is, yeah. So the third and fourth place team essentially.
So that semifinal game is
it's nuts. I mean, you'll see stories and online and of what it means to the clubs and the fans and the supporters.
So every single year, it's the bottom 3 teams get relegated down, and the top 3 teams
get promoted.
And every year it's 3 in, 3 out. See that? There's no time to rebuild,
and it's so hard too. If you ask teams that get relegated, to get back up, it's really, really hard because you had this number. Right. So let's say you had an extra $250 million, and now you get all that money. So now you're selling, unfortunately, some of your best players to try and salvage where you're at from a salary standpoint. So it's really, really rare that you'll go down and then you'll go back up.
Is there a salary cap? And
I mean, they're supposed to have an idea of like what is fair play, but you'll see, some of the bigger clubs, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, that have a significantly bigger book, because you can't just use money. Like, it has to be in accordance to so many different like legislations and rules and regulations and stuff like that. So,
baseball does not have a salary cap, and that's why you're seeing your New York Mets, who drafted me.
I'm inspired. I'm not happy about that, but yeah.
They did trade me away.
But
they drafted me. The Mets gave me a shot in pro ball, and
I reached out to Steve Cohen, but he did not respond. So I don't know.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, he's a busy man.
But man, it's your experiences with MLS and college soccer. What has that done for you in your? I want to say coming through and as coaching. Like, what's that done for you? You think in the big picture?
Yeah, I think I was. It was a really tough time when I got hurt, right? Because soccer was all I knew in terms of playing, and I had a mindset where I wanted to change kind of American soccer, and I was at the best. I was at the top of my game. I was the fittest I'd ever been. I was playing my best. I was coming off my best ever season where I was best 11, unanimous. I scored 18 or 19 goals, as a midfielder. And I was like, I got to Kansas City. It was my dream spot. The way that they played, the way that they pressed was everything. Peter Vermees, you couldn't have worked out any better. And I get hurt and devastated. I do the rehab. I'm staying in a hotel for 2 months because they wanted me, and ended up being something that, we originally thought it was, but it wasn't, and it ended up being, career ending. And so it was really hard, and I was, in the hospital, and my dad had came up, and, I knew the look on his face. It was one of two things. And one was, okay, you'd be able to play again. The other was, it's going to be really, really hard. And I looked at him, and the first thing I said when I got out of surgery was, it was the microfracture, right? And he said, yeah. And obviously I lost it, and so I think having that experience, it's like finding my why. Like, my why now is coaching. And I'd argue now I feel like I have the ability to be a way better coach than I was as a player. And so when I talk to players now, I lived essentially what their dream is to play pro or to have a college experience. And I lived it. So I can, like you, if you went into coaching, you could say I went through all of those trials, tribulations. I dealt with adversity. And at the end of the day, I'm still standing here doing what I love. And I think it's as real as it gets. And, I think finding my why, I've been incredibly blessed, incredibly grateful. The good Lord above has put me in this position, and I'm really, really grateful.
Yeah, man. I tell everybody it's there's a lot of days in pro baseball where it's like, man, this is a long season.
Mm-hmm.
I need a break. When you're on game 155,
yeah, I can't imagine that.
But at the same time, you hear stories like that. You hear so many stories of guys that just like injuries, like it just didn't work out, and something happened. It really puts into perspective, like, every day is a blessing, man. And then and you being able to tell your story to the girls you have, like, yeah, I know today's a tough day, but it could be a lot worse.
For sure.
And,
for sure.
And
I think perspective is what we use.
Gratitude, perspective.
Gratitude and perspective are the two words I think we use more than anything, especially towards the end of the season. We don't have to play. We get to play. In November, and it matters. November's when it matters. Essentially, right? That's when the NCAA tournament is, and you get an opportunity. And we were fortunate to play in front of the best fans in the country, and to see the support it really, like I said, he puts in perspective of how blessed each and every one of us are every single day.
The NCAA tournament, man. I had a blast at those games.
I appreciate it. Yeah, they did. I mean, everyone involved made it an absolute experience. We joke like you guys at baseball, right? You go to the dude and it is just different. We tell that to the recruits. It's a cathedral of stadiums, right? It's the Mecca. And, I said, you don't even have to like baseball. But you go there and the food and the fellowship and the environment and the people, I said, it's unlike anything you'll ever see. And, I feel like we had our baseball moment when we broke 4,000, and to sit there and see the photos. I'd never forget walking out of the coach's office, and it's an hour before the game and it's packed. I mean, people are running to get to their spot. And 5-6 years ago when I got here, it was like you'd have 12 people in the bleachers, and it was their parents. And we kept saying, it's not big enough, and they're like, well, let's just get that sorted first, and then we'll start to expand. But it's been incredible. To see that and the support that we had all season and all throughout the year, it's been crazy.
Man, my senior year of high school, football had their big year in 2014. I came to that Auburn game, and I grew up going to Alabama football games because my dad played there, and looking at what Davis Wade was like when we were at our number one in the country, it was unbeatable.
Yeah.
I know we don't get 110,000,
right?
But you put 65,000 cowbells in the stands, it's different.
It is.
And, with baseball, with all the attendance records, now with soccer, with all the attendance records, man, it's and the hump too, man, by the way. Our basketball arena, when that place
was rocking. That was an awesome event. I mean, the student section, it was DJ now. It was awesome.
And I keep telling everybody, wait till and women's basketball when they were on all their runs, and they've been so good, but Mississippi State has this special thing that whenever you get rolling, man, they gonna show up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care what sport it is, what time of year it is, what the temperature is. They're gonna show up. They're gonna be loud, and it's different.
It is
because it's personable, and most of the people at the games, because you have a relationship with them. It's the coolest thing in the world, and that's. I just try to explain to everybody it's different. You can't really explain it. And then watching what y'all came out to in those games was unbelievable, man. That was an atmosphere that y'all created because of what y'all built. Open 7 days a week. Strange Brew is conveniently located on Highway 12 next to Chick-fil-A. Whether you're heading to class or cheering on the Bulldogs, let Strange Brew Coffeehouse be your caffeine companion. And I know that there was some time, like you said, there was 12 people in the stands some years ago. What did that build up? Kind of tell us what was behind the scenes through all that, because I know it wasn't always easy. I know y'all had tough times.
I mean, I think, obviously when James and I got here together, we sat at his place, coincidentally in Auburn, at his home. And, we sat down and we said we have a vision, and it was to win an SEC championship and compete for a national championship. And, there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. There was a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of this is going to be tough. But, the saying, if you build it, they'll come. And, I felt like every year we were getting better and better, and every year it was leading up to, ultimately what we had happen over these last couple of years. And, we obviously graduate a lot of pieces that have been a part of that. But we also have a really good group of young ladies that have unbelievable talent, a belief. They've been a part of it. They see what it takes to win. So every group has its own journey, and every group has its own path. You've been a part of some really good teams, and I'm sure you've been a part of some teams that obviously there's challenges, but it's one that it was really fulfilling to see. And the Notre Dame coach came up to me after the game. He was like, "Dude, this is unbelievable," and that's Notre Dame. He was like, "This is incredible." He goes, "The facilities are awesome. The people have been so nice to us, the hospitality." And, that's another thing that goes without. You have that Southern hospitality, you have that all those people, that are just genuinely, "Hey, how are you?" Go any restaurant, "Hey," and if they know you, "Hey, coach, great stuff. Awesome win." You'd be sitting down, people would just come up to you, "Hey, just want to say great job." You can't tell me that happens everywhere. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
You know,
It doesn't.
and that's what makes it even more special, is because what you think it means to you, it means probably even more for these, for these people within the community that have been here through it all, and they just want to see any team, do well.
That's what's special about the state of Mississippi. I tell everybody, we don't have a pro team.
Right.
We have our colleges that, and the coolest part about it is, man, is just year round there's some sort of sport that's wearing the Mississippi State brand.
For sure.
It's like right now it's basketball season, soon it's baseball, softball, like it just keeps It just keeps going, and then the fan base just loves it, man. Like it's really cool to be a part of that and to be able to witness that, because like I said, I grew up Bama.
Yeah.
I grew up Bama, and now I love Mississippi State baseball because of Ron Polk and all that stuff, and watching that was special. But it's the most unique thing I've ever seen, and like now that I've been in pro ball, talking to all the guys that come from like listening and hearing their backgrounds, you just don't get it in other places.
100%.
And that Notre Dame game, man, that was
They were good. I mean, I have no problem saying they were better than us on that night. I mean, they were.
That night they were.
We ran into a buzzsaw that night. I actually just saw the coach in St. Louis. I was doing recruiting Thursday, and he was like, we were good that night. He was like, that was probably the best we've played all year, and and credit to them. I mean, they were every bit as good as they were. They probably, in hindsight, should have been a higher seed, but they had lost some games early in the season when they had kids away with national teams. So some teams got them when they were maybe not at full strength. But it was like I said, it was a great opportunity. Anytime you're in the Sweet 16, round of 32, even the first round game, it's the NCAA tournament. Everybody's good. Everybody's there for a reason. Mm-hmm. And, incredible opportunity. It showed our kids, where we want to be, how we got to keep working. But it was, to be a part of that it's been pretty awesome.
Well, it was a special year, man. Talk to us about what's coming back. I know we're losing some pieces.
Yeah, we got some pieces, but we've got, Ali Perry obviously was first team All SEC. Her story's been incredible, right? Obviously came here, got hurt, tore ACL, came back, worked, really just dedicated herself to the sport. And you saw her have the year that she had this year. You've got Zoe Main, another second team All SEC. Someone that's super combative but can fly. She comes back. You've got some backs that have tons of experience. You've got midfielders, Olivia Buxton, that was a big part, got hurt early in the season against Georgia. You got Kara Harris that came in off the bench a lot of times as a freshman, and I feel like every time she came in, she either assisted, scored, created. Kennedy Husbands, all freshman team. We've got goalkeepers that have obviously trained with Maddie, understand the expectations. So we've got a lot of really good pieces. And what's more exciting for me is that this is a group that's hungry and they're ready. And, there was a lot of strong personalities within our group. And I think now it opens the door for some of these younger players to really open up and grow in terms of that. So, I think it'll be a different group, but it's an exciting different group. And, I haven't talked to them yet, but when I will, I'll say UNC, who won the national championship? And hopefully they say UNC. Hopefully they watched, right? But they had 12 kids on their roster in the spring. They had lost 12 to 15 kids. Some went pro, some transferred. Mm-hmm. They had some club practice players that came up and, they had their coach retire right before the season, and they came together for one common goal, and they won a national championship. And so the point is everyone's journey is going to be different. Doesn't matter what we have, what we've lost, who's graduated, who's moved on. It's the people in this room that matter, and that's what we're gonna work with.
I love that, man. One goal,
One goal, mission focused, and and it's again, we got into it because we had so many kids. It was like the goal is to try and win a national championship, right? Now it's we want to win. That's always the goal, but it's going to be process, right? Are we staying true to the process? Are we getting better every single day? I'm a big believer in process over results, because if you're doing it right and you have the foundation, which is what we built 5-6 years ago, if you do it the right way, then the results will come. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing is, did we get better today? Did we win the day? Did we grow as a group? And if the answer is yes, then things will take care of itself.
Like the physical side of any sport is so important, like the work you put in, all that stuff. But being someone that likes sports and watches sports, the common theme you see is there's a mental. It's so mental.
For sure.
and just the ability to want the moment. And me and my dad were talking about it in Tupelo the other day, watching our women's and men's basketball teams in the doubleheader. Like you can just tell who wants that moment, who wants the shot, who wants the ball in their hands when that time comes. And it seemed like after interviewing Macy earlier, kind of right before y'all left for the SEC tournament.
Yep.
She wanted, like she wanted
built different.
She built different, and it takes a unique mindset to be able to do this, to be able to play sports and succeed at the highest level. And it really felt like y'all had that. I know y'all's goalkeeper this year was absolutely insane.
We had, goalkeeper of the year, defender of the year, midfielder of the year, and it's like I said, it was. For us, right, as someone that's been in the game, our job is to make sure that we give them the tools necessary to be successful when they graduate Mississippi State, right? Whether that's playing pro, whether that's going into another job, right? And a lot of that is the belief from a mental side of it of like, we're going to deal with adversity, and life is not fair, and it's going to knock you down. And it's our job as coaches to give you the tools to not only pick yourself back up, but you're like, I got this. And you can come back to all the memories and the moments that maybe you've had as a student athlete that have led you to this moment, and you remember that you got up off the deck and you conquered what that situation or obstacle was, and now you're a better person for it, and so I think that's the coolest part about being a coach is the wins and losses are great. I get it, and I'm the most competitive person, and I want to win 100%. But at the end of the day, like I said, if we're doing right by the student athletes, if we're giving them the tools necessary to be successful, then I can look myself in the mirror at the end of the day and go, I'm doing everything I can for these young ladies.
And I know that they see that, and then they appreciate that, because when I was interviewing Macy, a quote she said was, I was like, man, the field looks so nice. Like the locker room, like it looks pristine. And she was like, oh, that's Nick's baby.
Yeah,
talking about the field
is now I've got a lot of help, so I can't take all the credit.
I know you have help, but she wanted to point out that the soccer field is Nick's baby.
Yeah,
you take care of it, like it's like every grass is piece of grass.
At times when they're like, Coach, what's up with the field? I said, it'll be ready. Just let it develop. So, but I had to mow the grass, line the field, top dress, overseed when I was at Columbus State, and I had an appreciation for what went into it, and you just take a pride in it, every part of it, just like you, everything that you do as a baseball player, you take pride in every single detail. And that's where I think we're going to continue to really push the needle with this group. Is it's going to be a professional environment. We're going to do everything the right way. Details matter, because in the grand scheme of things, those are the things that make the difference.
100% agree with that. Not that, that means anything, but it was always the coolest thing is any coach. I was fortunate to have every coach I had always structured their practices and structured the way that they did things as a professional environment. So whenever I got into pro ball, it wasn't like a culture shock of practice. It was just, all right, we're going to keep rolling. Yeah. And that helped me a lot my first couple years in pro ball. Just like I've done this before. It might be a different setting, but I've had this structure before. Sure. And you having your pro background, and obviously these girls want to play soccer as long as they possibly can, but for everybody that's not how it works. And even if it's not in soccer or not in baseball, it's what you learn through the trials and adversity through that helps you in life, man. And that's awesome to hear that's your goal first and foremost.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah.
Nick, like what would you want the Mississippi State fan base to know going forward, that now that you are the head soccer coach of this program, like what's the big message you want the fan base to know? I know that you are so appreciative of the attendance records and the atmosphere that the fan base created, but what's a big thing you want them to know going forward? Yeah,
I mean, first off, we appreciate obviously the support, right? That does not go unnoticed. They are the reason for a lot of the success that we've had. The belief, the support has been awesome. And moving forward, it's going to be a lot of the same. I think the grit, the work rate, the tireless fight that this group will have will continue to go on, right? From that side of it, I think it'll look a little different. I think expectations of what we've had and now where we are will be a little bit different in terms of, there's going to be some new faces, there's going to be some new voices, but this is a group that bleed maroon and white. They are thrilled to be here. They love this place. They love this community. They chose us over other schools for the fans, for the moment to be in these big games. And, we're extremely excited for them. We're thankful for them. We're going to have some fun while we do it. I think that's the coolest part is it's going to be in an environment where we're going to enjoy each other's company. We're going to fellowship every single day, but we're going to work really, really hard. And the goal is going to be no team's going to continue to outwork us. That's been a staple since we've been here, and that's something that will continue to move forward. And I want to thank you. I know what you mean to this community, what you mean to Starkville, what you mean to Mississippi, what you mean to the baseball world. Every time I see you, you've got a smile on your face. You're always helping someone, and you're just real genuine. And you've got a lot of reasons why you don't need to be, but you do it. Everything that you do is for Mississippi State, and I've been a huge supporter of yours. The moment I stepped on campus, but just want you to know that, we think the world of you. I think the world of you, and appreciate all that you do for Mississippi State. It's above and beyond anything that I think people realize. So appreciate you, brother.
Man, just like my dogs, man, like my dogs, like where I come from, and love Mississippi, and fell in love with Mississippi State, man. Fell in love with it, and for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be at Mississippi State sporting events, and I want to beat everybody.
I love that. Let's do it.
Just like winning, and it's funny. I remember the first time I met you was in Starkville Cafe. Yeah. I just gotten drafted by the New York Mets. We were in Starkville Cafe, and you kind of being Rhode Island background, New York Met fan.
I inherited that with my dad, unfortunately. So thanks, Dad.
Y'all had a good. The Mets had a good run this year, but
right.
it was. Man, I got to tell the story real quick. I was cracking up. I'm playing golf at Starkville Country Club, beautiful golf course.
Nice. And
I see you rolling up in your golf cart.
Yeah,
dude, it was the best. I was playing with Josh Lovelady,
yeah.
Tanner Poole, some former teammates, and man, just seeing your golf cart. We got to talk about the golf cart. We got to talk about it. There's no top on it.
Yeah, it is topless. So for 50% of the time, it's a terrific golf cart. And then if it happens to rain, it is not a great golf cart. But yeah, a friend of mine was selling a golf cart, and he had it out on South Montgomery and played golf on Saturday. And I'm driving home, and I know who it was that was selling it. And I told my girlfriend, now fiance at the time, I'm like, hey, go run out and check how much that thing is. And so I was like, I'm intrigued. And so she said this ridiculous number. I'm like, that's not right. So she was like, I think it's this, but we had traffic coming. So I was like, all right. So I shoot him a text. I said, hey, what are you selling that thing for? He gave me the price. I said, I'll give you this right now. He's like, done. And I'm like, we probably overpaid for it, how quickly that thing got done. But literally I went back, got it unchained. And yeah, so it's all matte black. It's got a little windshield, but no roof. And, everybody laughs. It's like that. If there's one person that's golf cart would be, it would be yours. And Sam Purcell got in it maybe a month later, drove it around. I think he screwed up the brakes, so he's still got an invoice for that. So
Coach.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, I got a video of him too, and he's driving around. He's like, let's go. He's sending it to his recruits. I'm like, it's my golf cart. Can you please get out of my golf cart?
Coach.
And he's, I love Sam to death. He's in the woods looking for his yellow ball. And I'm like, you can't take my golf cart in the woods. Just ride it on the cart path. So, but yeah, that's my baby. It's been a while since I've seen her, so hopefully she still runs. But
well, I've talked to a lot of Tanner and Josh, for example. When we saw you, they spoke so highly of you, and nice. Man, the community really likes you, man, and what you're doing, and the personality you bring. Everyone really appreciates the energy you bring, and can't wait to see where you take this program. I know this year was a historic year, and let's keep building off that.
Absolutely,
man.
brother. Well,
It's going to be fun to watch.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate y'all tuning in. Nick Zimmerman, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the State of Mind podcast presented by Strange Brew Coffeehouse, your go-to spot for that perfect brew.